too often whenever you get in conditions, last summer was a bad, low water condition. We're still looking at, possible drought conditions. But my main thing to urge everybody is to not panic. Too many people, especially when they're considering their landscape, when they're looking at things outside in their yard, they tend to panic. They tend to overreact and think, well, golly, if we have this threat, I better not plant. And that's the furthest thing from the truth, because if you use common sense, if you use what we have available to help you, you can overcome the problems with low water, with drought, by using the right plants, by using the right preparation. All these different things used in conjunction will help you alleviate the problems that some people may have run into last summer because they didn't do the advanced planning, the thinking, and the preparation that will help solve all those problems. When you're looking at what to plant, when you're especially concerned about water, about using less water, using no water, you have to look at what kind of plants you want to plant. Now you have general categories, and we'll talk about shrubs first of all. Shrubs like foundation shrubs around your house, even out in bed areas. One of the best plants to use are hollies. All the holly varieties, which scientific name ilex, most of your holly varieties are very good to use in low water conditions. They will still maintain, they will still survive, they will even still grow, though maybe not as quick as what they normally would when you have a lot of water naturally from the weather. When you look at flowering shrubs, camellias, a lot of people probably wouldn't think that a camellia is a good low water plant, but for a flowering shrubs, camellias are one of the best plants you can plant for low water. You may decrease your length of bloom time on a camellia because of low water conditions, but the plant itself will still thrive, it will still be healthy, and then the following year, when your rainwater picks back up, you'll have plenty of blooms that will last just as long. When you're looking at ground covers, perennials are always good for low water. Most all of your perennial varieties will do very well once they're established in low water conditions. Verbena is one of the best ground covers to use for low water. One of the most popular plants ever is lantana. You've got lantana in several different color varieties, and lantana, while it's not a true perennial in this area, a lot of times it will come back the following year, but lantana is considered more of an annual around here. But you can plant lantana, do a couple of waterings to get it established, and I've had summers where I never had to water my lantana. It still thrives. Out of one 4-inch plant, you can get a 3-foot shrub. And so lantana is a wonderful flower to use if you're worried about low water. Ivy is a great ground cover to use in low water. There's been many times where I've planted ivy and never watered it, and it did fine off of morning dew and off the occasional rain when we didn't have a lot of rain. So ivy is another great ground cover to use. Junipers also. Of course, everybody knows that junipers make a great ground cover, several different varieties for that. Also, many of your upright junipers will do very well in low water conditions. They are basically a drought plant. So they don't need, even under the best of conditions, they don't need a lot of water anyhow. In your decorative shrubs, nandinas are a great plant to use, don't need a lot of water. Your privets, which is a ligustrum variety. Ligustrum, as well as your privet varieties, are also very good to use in low water conditions. Japanese cleara is a plant that's grown in popularity over the years. As we started developing problems with red tips, with the fungus problems, Japanese cleara have kind of taken over as a replacement for red tips. They look very similar, but a much more handsome plant, and they survive very well. And that's a great foundation plant. If you're looking for something to put along the front of your house in a primary spot, cleara do very well. They're a faster growing plant. I have them in front of my house. And even with the low water that we had last year, I never watered my cleara through the whole summer. They still put on 2 feet of growth during last summer. Now, when you're talking about flowers, of course, we talked about lantana being a great plant, and that's since it's considered a partial perennial. But if you move into the true annuals, you have the first one I would think of would be begonias. You have either your bronze leaf begonias or your green begonias, your bronze leaf being better in full sun conditions. Even in full sun with low water, begonias will still thrive and do very well. Very good bunchy plant, provides you beautiful pink, red, white blooms. That's a very good plant to use, very handsome in your landscape. Geraniums, a lot of people think that they're a higher water use plant, and they're really not that high. When you consider geraniums, even if you have them in a pot on your porch, you may need to water them once a week, and that's fairly low for a soft textured plant like a geranium. But geraniums will do very well in lower water conditions as well. Marigolds are another great plant to use in low water because they bloom just all summer long. You get lots of stunning color out of them. Once again, once they're established well, they will bloom all summer long, even in low water conditions. Periwinkles, your vinca, are a moderate water plant. If you're in the right soil conditions, they don't need much water. If you're in a very sandy condition, you may need more water on them, so that's kind of an iffy. You're gonna have to kind of judge the area you're in before I can tell you whether or not, yes, that's a great plant to use in low water conditions. The main thing that I urge everybody is not to panic. Too many times people get so tied up and so worried and so frustrated, but there's a solution to every problem. The thing is, you have to be willing to go out and find the solution. We're in a quick world. Everybody wants everything right now. It's not always going to happen that way. You have to stop and do your research. You have to find out what plants you're going to use. You're going to have to find out what kind of conditions you're in. You're going to have to find out what to do to solve those conditions if you have a problem. The best way to do that is find people who are willing to help you. Don't trust everybody who says, hey, I've got the answer. You need to find the right people to ask who know what they're talking about in these areas. We've been here since 1919 at Bell's Seed Store. Come down, we'd love to help you with whatever you need for your lawn and your garden. We'll be happy to answer your questions about water plants, about anything else you need to know. Just come down, we'd be happy to help.